It is a question I have been hearing for so many years now. Can Six Flags Great America in Gurnee, Illinois build a Giga Coaster? I'm talking about a roller coaster that is 300 feet tall. But what about that airport nearby? Is that preventing them from building a roller coaster of this size? I've got an answer. Let's discuss. Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Marcus Leshock. I want to thank you for being here, and I would be honored if you could subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me. And I also would like to remind you that, yes, I appear on the WGN-TV morning news every day starting at 4 a.m. You see this right here? Like, this is, people are like, oh man, you look tired. Well, because I get up at about 2 o'clock every morning. It's not 2 o'clock in the morning right now. As a matter of fact, when I'm taping this, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So please, give me some grace in these videos, all right? I'm dragging. I'm dragging just a little bit. But I appreciate if y'all would watch us every day, 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. So let's talk about the Giga Coaster question. Can Great America build a 300-foot tall coaster? You might be asking me, like, why wouldn't they be able to? All kinds of parks have Giga Coasters. Well, Great America has this particular issue where there is an airport within 10 miles of the park. It is Waukegan National Airport. I believe the airport does a lot of corporate jet traffic, some smaller aircraft traffic, but nevertheless, it is an airport that's nearby, so you've got planes taking off and planes landing, and so that's an issue with things that are nearby of certain height. And the tallest roller coaster at Great America right now is Raging Bull at 202 feet. So they do have a hyper coaster there, but that's as tall as they've ever gone when it comes to roller coasters at Great America. However, there is another attraction there. It's called Skytrek Tower. It is an intimate gyro tower that's been there forever. It's an observation ride that spins slowly at the front of the park. That ride is 330 feet tall. So I've always been skeptical of people who say, well, you can't build a 300-foot tall coaster because the airport nearby. When you have a ride that's 330 feet tall, why can't you build another ride that is 300 feet tall? So I decided to reach out to Great America and ask them directly, like, hey, I'm not asking what you're planning to do or what you're thinking about doing, but what can you do? Could you build something that's as tall as Skytrek Tower, 300 plus feet, 330 feet? And is Skytrek Tower the limit? Is that sort of talking point or discussion point true going around, that is the limit, the height limit of how tall you can build because of the airport nearby? And they responded to me. I got a response, and they said, yes, that is true. Skytrek Tower's height is the limit of what we can build at the park. 330 feet is the height of Skytrek Tower. So there you go. That was my answer. So yes, in theory, on paper, they could build a Giga Coaster at Great America. Now, for many, many years, I've thought that's never really gonna happen. That's a major attraction investment. However, the plot has thickened recently. Just over the last few days, Six Flags sent out surveys to many pass holders and legacy members across the company at parks across the country, asking them for their opinions on new ride concepts that could come to each specific park. Now, I did not get a survey for Great America, even though I'm a pass holder. Well, upset about it that they didn't think to send me one. I reached out to everybody I knew who was a pass holder, many of the people I knew who are a pass holder or a member, and they didn't get a survey either. However, there were some screenshots of the survey that were posted onto Reddit. So I reached out to Great America again and asked them and said, hey, have you seen these screenshots that are going around? I'm told they're for Great America. I didn't get one though. Are these legit? And I got a response back a little while later that said, yes, we are sending those out. These surveys are legit that are going out to parks across the country. So let's proceed and discuss the three attractions that were mentioned there. The first one is a family thrill launch coaster. Think of Big Bear Mountain at Dollywood. These are a lot of fun. That would be a great addition to the park, actually, to have something like that. They could use more rides that are thrilling for the entire family. Something to complement Whizzer would be really cool. A flying theater was another option that they sent to people, which was interesting to me. Think Soarin' at Epcot, where you're sort of flying through things around the world. But notably in Chicago, we have an attraction called Fly Over Chicago that has this amazing drone video that goes all over the city to different landmarks and things, and you feel like you were flying through the city with different sights and effects, and it's so well done. If you have not done this at Navy Pier, I highly recommend it, but this, when I read the description, sounded just like that. So there would be another version of that in the Chicagoland area, which leads me to be like, maybe they wouldn't go that way, at least not yet. But the third one is what everybody's talking about, and that is a Giga Coaster. Let me just read what they wrote in the survey, okay, because it is exciting. It says, prepare for the ultimate thrill experience with the all-new Giga Coaster, a towering masterpiece designed for adrenaline seekers and coaster enthusiasts alike. Soaring over 300 feet in height, reaching jaw-dropping speeds, this record-setting coaster delivers massive drops, high-speed twists, exhilarating airtime from start to finish. With state-of-the-art engineering, immersive theming, and panoramic views, riders will feel the rush of flight and the thrill of extreme speed like never before. It is the perfect combination of intense thrills, cutting-edge technology, and unforgettable excitement, making the Giga Coaster the must-ride attraction. So obviously people saw this and they just started dreaming right away. Like, how amazing would it be to have a Giga Coaster at Great America? It's something people have talked about forever. Like, wow, to have that, like a bam statement coaster in the park would be so cool. I mean, Great America does have some neat attractions. Like Raging Bull is still an amazing B&M hyper twister coaster. It is so much fun. Max Force has the fastest accelerated launch of any roller coaster in the world. You can't undersell that, even if the ride's only like 25 seconds or so. The launch, every time I ride it, takes my breath away. It's so cool to have that in the park, but this would be another level of coaster. Think of Fury 325 at Carowinds. When that opened, a 325-foot tallest Giga traditional chain lift coaster anywhere, and just the way that ride interacts with the front of the park, it is a thing of beauty when you pull up to the park and see it. It's just a statement ride. When you're pulling up and you see it, you're like, okay, I gotta conquer that thing today. It is awesome to have that in a park. So to have that at Great America would be something special. So the next question that I have is, or a lot of people would have, is this actually going to happen? Them sending out a survey like this, does this mean that they're definitely going to build a Giga Coaster? It does not mean that. But I will say this, and this is from my experience working with parks and talking to parks over the years and just kind of observing Six Flags and their tendencies. They don't seem to send out these surveys unless they are seriously considering the things that they send out to people in the park. And to see that, from what I've seen from the compilation of all of these that have been posted for the different parks across the country, I believe Great America is the only one that got the option for a Giga Coaster, which is, I think that's notable actually, for them to put that out there. Also, they have to know that when they throw out a Giga Coaster in a survey like this to a bunch of people, they know it's going to get shared. They know it's going to get talked about. That's throwing something out there that's going to create a lot of excitement amongst your fans. So I don't think they would just recklessly throw it out with no intention to possibly do it. So I do think that it is a possibility of actually happening at some point at Great America. But of course, there are a lot of factors at play when it comes to the other side of a Giga. Listen, the pros of a Giga are very obvious, right? It's everyone's going to want to come from everywhere and ride it once. It becomes a ride that must ride for enthusiasts everywhere. It becomes one of those things when you walk into the park, you see it from every point of the park saying, I have to ride that today. It draws a crowd. It draws attention. It's going to draw capacity. It's going to create openings at other rides throughout the park because a lot of people are going to go ride that. It's just like a no-brainer addition, right? Like, of course, you would love to have a Giga. On the other side of it, it's a huge investment. Like, that's going to be a lot of money. I don't know what a Giga would cost these days with construction costs and steel costs and everything like that. You would assume it's going to be a very expensive coaster. Great America also doesn't have a ton of excess space in it. Fury 325, I believe, is 6,000 feet long. That is a massive attraction. Would they build a ride similar to that that's as long as it? You're talking about a record-breaking coaster here, assuming that it's going to break like a speed record. Is it going to break the height record? Would you build a 330-foot tall coaster to upstage Fury? I'm not sure if they would do that or not, but if you're talking about breaking some kind of record, you're talking about a massive ride here. You're talking about something that's going to cost a significant amount of money. This is a big investment. And I think, did I just say this or not? Just space at Great America is at a minimum. Right? They've gotten really creative at putting things in their park in certain spots. Wrath of Rakshasa, fitting that in the middle of the park where they could is really creative. Something of this magnitude, though, with the lift hill that it takes up and the space, it's just, you're going to have to get either extremely creative with where you sort of wedge it in, or you're going to have to remove something significant to put it in its place. People are not going to like me when I bring this up, but one of the most obvious places would be where the American Eagle sits right now. And listen, the Eagle has had its issues over the years. It doesn't race anymore, doesn't draw the crowds that it used to draw. And I always said this, if you were ever going to replace the Eagle, you would replace it with something that is, okay, very big. Something that is, I can see why you replaced it. You wouldn't want to replace it for just for no reason or for something small. If you took an iconic attraction like that and put something massive like a Giga Coaster in its place, you could make the argument that that's a substantial improvement. You could even name it something that's a nod to the Eagle of the past, but I'm not saying they're doing that, but that would open up a lot of space where you could potentially fit something like this. I have found it interesting that they've done all this work at the front of the park to create these very open spaces at the entrance of the park. Now, every time I've asked them about this, when they were doing all this work, they told me that they just needed more space for people to gather when they're coming into the park and when they're leaving, easier to get people in and out of the theme park and the water park. However, there's a lot of open space up there. There just is a lot of open space. And could you build a coaster of this magnitude that somehow interacts with the front of the park like Fury 325 does? Where would the lift hill go? Where would the drop go? And if you could do something where it's going like over and under the entryway there at the entrance of the park, I mean, look at Carowinds when you walk up to it. It's an iconic entrance. Look at Cedar Point when you've got Gatekeeper over the entrance. It's iconic. It's awesome when you walk up. How cool would it be to do this? But again, you're talking about a massive construction project. So still a lot to come on this topic, a lot of questions to answer. And I think honestly, like any of these three attractions would be very welcome at the park. The Giga obviously would be amazing, but a family thrill launch coaster would be phenomenal for the park, and a new themed kids area would be very welcome and honestly needed at Great America. And I hate to say this, but it's probably more needed than the Giga for a lot of the people who come. But hey, you know what? Open up the checkbook. Let's just do all three. Rip it up. 50th anniversary next year. We're building all three of these things. Put it on the credit card. Whatever you got to do. It's not my money. Can't wait to hear what y'all think about it. Peace out.